Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the McGonagall Boxing Podcast. So, it's nearly upon us, isn't it? It's crazy to think Usykjoshua is going down in 3 days. Possibly one of the best heavy cruiserweights of all time against, arguably a top 2 heavyweight of this generation, Fury and Joshua. It's a big fight. It's a super fight. How is it going to go? There's so many variations on this, so many different opinions and verdicts. It's fascinating. And let's make no mistake about it, both fighters can win this fight. They're going to have to both get their tactics spot on to prevail on this one. But both can. Ultimately, Usyk, I feel, needs to avoid Joshua early. He cannot get caught like he got caught against Chisora early on, because if Joshua catches him younger, more explosive, bigger, stronger than Chisora, it's all over. I don't think Usyk will take Joshua flush punches. I just can't see it. However, if he's smart, and I expect Usyk to be better than he was against Chisora, 100%, then he'll avoid Joshua. And the more he avoids Joshua, the more Joshua starts to panic. I can't get near this guy. And eventually what will happen is Usyk will grow in confidence, he'll grow in distance, and he'll start to set traps and dictate the pace. And I think he'll start to run away with the fight. I really do. And I think he'll tire Joshua out. So it all depends on these first 4 or 5 rounds. Can Joshua get him out? Don't judge Usyk on the Witherspoon and Chisora fights. He's going to be a better fighter. His inactivity worries me a little bit. He's almost gone like a year between fights, which isn't good. But he's good enough to get away with that. Joshua, again, hasn't fought in nearly a year. So is that going to affect him? Again, I think he's good enough not to affect him. But I think Joshua's key to victory is using his size, using his strength, putting it on Usyk, bullying him early. So it worries me if I see him too lean, leaning out. I think he needs to. Obviously, I'm not saying he goes heavy, because of course he'll gas out. But I'd like to see Joshua in the 17 and a half stone mark, where he's still got good cardio. He's not 18 where he was against Ruiz in the first fight, which was too big. But he's still, got good size and strength on him, while still keeping, loose some speed and stamina. If he starts dropping down to 16, then that's a worry, because he's going to, for me, he'll lose power. He's clearly going for speed and stamina, going for a 12-round fight. But then I think you start playing into Usyk's hands. I think Joshua needs to learn against Usyk pretty early. I'm not going to outbox this guy. I'm going to use all my physical advantages, bully him, outman him, lean on him, wear him down, get him early, put it on him. And obviously it's not a case of just steaming in. He's got set traps, but Usyk does tend to lean forward, and Teddy Atlas and Macklin have said this quite rightly, and I've heard a few podcasts say it as well, that Usyk, being a southpaw, is open to the overhand right, because he comes in, he really leans in with his whole body, and if you time him like Chisora did at times, you can catch him flush. I also think the uppercut's going to be a big punch for Joshua, like it was in his last fight against Pulev. I think when Usyk leans in, he can catch him flush with an uppercut coming in, especially on that southpaw stance. He's susceptible to that, and AJ throws that uppercut with such fury, such speed. It could really do damage, and it could get Usyk out there, no question. So I think the overhand right, which we know is Joshua's strength, but the uppercut is the big thing. If Usyk can avoid that, then it's advantage Usyk big time. I think Usyk, though, like I've said, he needs to circle round. For me, people getting carried away with the Chisora fight. It was competitive for the first 4 rounds. And then Usyk found his time, he found his range, he figured out Chisora and he dominated him, and he very nearly stopped him. I think in the 7th round, Chisora was literally saved by the bell, because he can start unloading on you, he can start beating you up. He's not a one-punch devastating puncher like Wilder, but he's accurate, very, very accurate, very quick, and angles from all punches, and he can sting. He can zip and he can sting you, and he'd like to do Bellew. He'll sting you and slowly beat you up. So I think if this fight goes past 5, it's just Usyk's fight. And I know we all talk about AJ having a lull anyway in his fights, and he normally comes stronger, doesn't he? He comes good in the end. A bit like Takam, Klitschko, even the Dominic Brazil fight. But this is a different kettle of fish. I think Usyk will stay switched on. I don't think he'll allow Joshua to come good in the late rounds. I really don't. If Joshua doesn't put it on him early, use his size, beat him up, catch him early with the uppercut, then I think after round 6 is Usyk's fight. I think he'll start figuring AJ out, who's robotic, predictable, and I think he'll start finding his range. I think he'll start moving around the ring and picking off Joshua and could possibly stop him. You have to worry though, it might be a case of Lopez Loma again, where Joshua wins all the early rounds, Usyk wins the later rounds, but because it's home advantage, AJ gets the points decision. I've heard big talk, and I agree, it could be a Usyk win, but Joshua gets it, it's 116-12. Because of the home crowd. Every time Joshua gets anywhere near Usyk, the crowd's going to erupt. And that sways the judges. And obviously Joshua's a big money man for many people. So that's what I worry about. I worry about an unfair, inaccurate decision. Now I hope Joshua wins, being British, of course I do. But I hope the right man wins. And not because of outside factors. Some people say it could be a draw. Potentially could, you know what I mean? It could be Joshua first half, Usyk second half. And then it could be a big scramble for that last round. I wouldn't be surprised at all. There's so many options. I wouldn't be surprised if Joshua stops him early. I wouldn't be surprised if Usyk stops Joshua late with a barrage of punches. I wouldn't be surprised if Joshua, the most likely thing is Joshua with points. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if Usyk wins but doesn't get the decision. That's what my gut's telling me. Or my gut's telling me that Joshua's going to be a bit too strong, a bit too overwhelming, a bit too confident, because he had a good win last win. I've got a feeling he's going to really put it on Usyk and hurt him early, and he'll potentially get him out there. Make no mistake about it, Joshua can get Usyk out there, and I think that's the smart money or a smart points decision win. But if Usyk can survive them early rounds, then it's advantage for Usyk big time, because he's the better boxer and he's got the better cardio without question. It's going to be a fantastic fight. The winner obviously gets Wilder, Fury. That's another mammoth fight. So all to play for. Can Usyk make history? He can, but I give it 60-40 in favour of Joshua. I think Joshua will get the job done in a tough fight. And I think it'll probably be, like I say, either round 5, round 4 knockout, or which will incent a riot. The crowd will go mad for that, or a Joshua points win and holding on towards the end.